The distress signal. The emergency beacon pierced through the cosmic silence like a scream in the night. Deep in the outer rim of Galactic Union space, where stars were sparse and civilization even sparser, something terrible was happening. The distress signal traveled at the speed of light, carrying with it the desperate plea of thousands of souls facing extinction. Commander Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the UES Perseverance, watching the stars drift by in their eternal dance. She was 43 years old, with sharp brown eyes that had seen too much of space's cruelty and humanity's kindness. Her black hair, streaked with premature gray from years of high-stress command, was pulled back in a practical ponytail. The Perseverance and its small patrol group of 4 ships represented humanity's presence in this forgotten corner of the galaxy, a token gesture by the Galactic Union to keep the Deathworlders busy and far from civilized space. The term still made Sarah's jaw clench. Deathworlders. That's what the other species called humans, as if they were some kind of cosmic horror story. All because Earth was classified as a Category 9 death world, with its unpredictable weather, tectonic activity, and diverse ecosystem of predators and prey. The fact that humans had not only survived but thrived on such a planet terrified most alien species. They looked at humanity's history of warfare, exploration and survival against impossible odds, and they saw monsters instead of fellow sentient beings. Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez burst onto the observation deck, his usually calm demeanor replaced with urgency. He was Sarah's communications officer, a brilliant young man from Mars who had joined the fleet to see the galaxy. Now his face was pale with concern. "Commander, we're receiving a Priority 1 distress signal." It's bad, ma'am." Sarah followed him to the bridge, her boots clicking against the metal floor with military precision. The bridge crew turned to face her as she entered, their expressions grim. On the main screen, the distress signal's data stream scrolled past in alien script. "Automatically translated by their systems. Report," Sarah ordered, settling into her command chair. Rodriguez pulled up the signal analysis on his console. "It's a colony transport ship, the Harmony's Dream. Multi-species vessel carrying approximately 8,000 civilians. They're under attack by Krellian raiders in the Void Nebula. Their shields are failing, life support is damaged, and they're reporting multiple hull breaches." The Void Nebula. Sarah knew it well. A massive cloud of ionized gases and gravitational anomalies that made navigation treacherous. It was the perfect hunting ground for pirates and raiders who preyed on civilian ships, foolish enough to take shortcuts through its depths. The Krellians were the worst of them, a warrior species that had been expelled from the Galactic Union for their brutality. They took no prisoners, showed no mercy, and delighted in the suffering of other species. Distance to the Harmony's Dream? Sarah asked, though she already suspected the answer would be challenging. 18 hours at maximum burn through the nebula. "Commander, but..." Rodriguez hesitated, then continued. "The Galactic Union Command is ordering us to maintain position. They say they're dispatching an official rescue fleet." Sarah stood up slowly, her hands clasped behind her back. "And how long until this official rescue fleet arrives?" 48 hours minimum. "They're coming from the core worlds." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The Harmony's Dream would be nothing but frozen debris and corpses by the time the official fleet arrived. 8,000 beings, families with children, would die because of bureaucratic protocol and the Union's reluctance to let humans handle important situations. Sarah activated the ship-wide communication system. "This is Commander Chen to all hands. We've received a distress call from a civilian transport under attack. The Galactic Union wants us to wait for backup that won't arrive in time. I'm sure you all know what that means for the 8,000 souls on that ship." She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. "I'm not going to order anyone to disobey Union commands, but I am going to take the Perseverance to help those people. Any crew member who wishes to remain here in compliance with orders may transfer to the station immediately." Not a single person moved toward the exits. Sarah felt a surge of pride in her crew. This was what the galaxy didn't understand about humans. They saw Earth's dangerous environment and humanity's warrior history, and they missed the most important part. Humans were pack animals. They protected their own, and when someone called for help, they answered. "Navigation, plot a course through the Void Nebula. Maximum speed, minimum safety margins," Sarah commanded. "Communications, send a message to the other ships in our patrol group. Tell them what we're doing and why. If they want to join us, they're welcome. If not, no judgment." Within minutes, responses came back from the other 3 human ships. The UES Defiance, commanded by Captain James Volkov, was already warming up their engines. The UES Hope, under Captain Lisa Park, requested formation coordinates. The UES Relentless, captained by the veteran commander Robert Mitchell, simply sent back 2 words: hell yes. The Galactic Union's response was less enthusiastic. Admiral Catherine, a Zilani whose species had never known real hardship on their garden world, appeared on the communication screen. His forearms gestured in agitation, his blue skin flushing purple with anger. Commander Chen, you will cease this action immediately. You are in direct violation of Union protocols. The Deathworlder Fleet is not authorized for rescue operations of this magnitude. Sarah stood straight, meeting the Admiral's 6 eyes without flinching. Admiral, with all due respect, there are 8,000 civilians about to die. We're the only ones who can reach them in time. You can court-martial me later if you want, but right now I'm going to save those people. The Void Nebula is too dangerous. The gravitational shears alone could tear your ships apart. And the Krellians, Commander, they have at least 20 warships. Your 4 patrol vessels don't stand a chance. That's where you're wrong, Admiral, Sarah replied calmly. You see humans as Deathworlders, as something to fear and keep at arm's length. But you've never understood what that really means. We didn't survive Earth by running from danger. We survived by running toward it, by protecting our pack, by refusing to give up when things got impossible. Those 8,000 beings just became our pack, and we don't abandon our pack. She cut the communication before the Admiral could respond. Around her, the bridge crew worked with focused intensity, preparing for the dangerous journey ahead. The Void Nebula was already visible on their long-range sensors. A swirling mass of purple and green gases shot through with lightning-like energy discharges. Chief Engineer Dmitry Volkov, no relation to the Defiance's captain despite the shared surname, called up from engineering. Commander, I've modified our shields to handle the nebula's radiation, but we'll be flying half-blind in there. Sensors will be heavily degraded. Understood, Chief? Do what you can to keep us in one piece. As the 4 human ships formed up and accelerated toward the nebula, Sarah thought about what they were about to attempt. 20 Krellian warships against 4 patrol vessels. The odds were laughable. Any reasonable species would consider it suicide. But humans had never been reasonable when lives were on the line. The Perseverance shuddered as they entered the nebula's outer edge. Immediately, their sensors became clouded with static. Navigation became a matter of instinct and luck as much as skill. Gravitational anomalies pulled at their ships, trying to tear them apart or crush them like tin cans. The crew worked in focused silence, each person pushing themselves to their limits. 6 hours into the nebula, they encountered their first real challenge. A massive gravitational shear, invisible until they were almost on top of it, grabbed the Hope and began pulling it toward what sensors indicated was a micro-black hole. Captain Park's voice came over the communications, strained but determined. We're caught. Attempting to break free. Without hesitation, Sarah ordered the Perseverance to assist. All ships form tether protocol. We're pulling them out. It was a maneuver they had practiced but never attempted in conditions this extreme. The 4 ships connected via electromagnetic tethers, combining their engine power to pull the Hope free from the gravitational well. The strain on their systems was enormous. Warning lights flashed across every console as their engines pushed beyond safe limits. But it worked. The Hope broke free, scarred but intact. They continued deeper into the nebula, knowing that every minute counted for the Harmony's dream. The distress signal grew stronger, more desperate. They could hear the fear in the automated messages, the pleas for help in a dozen different languages. Then, through the swirling gases and sensor static, they saw it. The Harmony's dream, a massive civilian transport, was surrounded by Krellian attack ships. The raiders swarmed around it like sharks around wounded prey, firing weapons that tore through its weakening shields. Sarah could see escape pods being launched only to be destroyed by the Krellians or captured for purposes she didn't want to imagine. All ships, this is Commander Chen, she broadcast to her small fleet. We're outnumbered 5-1. We're in hostile territory with no backup coming. By all logical standards, we should turn back now. She paused, then smiled grimly. Good thing humans never learned to be logical. All weapons hot, prepare for combat. We're going to show these raiders why you don't mess with Deathworlders. Against all odds, the 4 human ships erupted from the nebula's swirling gases like ancient predators breaking from cover. The Krellian raiders, focused on their helpless prey, didn't notice them until it was almost too late. Almost Commander Sarah Chen gripped her command chair as the Perseverance's weapon systems came online. Around her, the bridge crew moved with practiced precision, their training taking over despite the impossible odds they faced. 20 Krellian warships against 4 human patrol vessels. In any conventional engagement, it would be a massacre, but humans had never been conventional fighters. Krellian ships are turning to engage, reported Lieutenant Rodriguez, his fingers flying across his console. They're broadcasting something. Commander, they're laughing at us. The main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. A Krellian commander appeared, his reptilian features twisted in what passed for amusement among his species. His scales were deep crimson, marking him as a veteran raider, and his 4 eyes gleamed with malicious intelligence. Human vessels, how amusing. The Deathworlders come to play hero. You should have stayed in your designated patrol zone. Now you'll die alongside these pathetic refugees. Sarah stood slowly, projecting calm confidence she didn't entirely feel. This is Commander Chen of the United Earthship Perseverance. You will cease your attack on the civilian vessel immediately and withdraw, or we will engage. The Krellians' laughter was a harsh, grating sound. 4 small ships against the might of the Krellian fleet? You humans may be from a death world, but you're not immortal. We've studied your weaknesses. Your emotional attachment to weaker species will be your downfall. You're right about one thing, Sarah replied. We do get emotionally attached. We call it empathy, something your species apparently lacks. But you're wrong about it being a weakness. She cut the transmission and immediately ordered, "Execute maneuver Crazy Ivan. All ships, break and attack." What followed was controlled chaos. The human ships scattered in 4 different directions, using the nebula's interference to mask their exact positions. The Krellians, expecting a direct assault or retreat, were momentarily confused. That moment was all the humans needed. Captain Volkov's Defiance dove straight down relative to the galactic plane, using a gravitational eddy to slingshot around and come up beneath 3 Krellian ships. The raiders' vessels were built for pursuit and intimidation, with most of their weapons facing forward. Their ventral armor was weaker, a fact human tactical computers had identified immediately. The Defiance's railguns, primitive by galactic standards but devastatingly effective, punched through the lead Krellian ship's belly. Kinetic rounds traveling at a significant fraction of light speed didn't care about energy shields designed to stop plasma weapons. The raider ship vented atmosphere and bodies into space. Meanwhile, Captain Park's Hope had done something the Krellians considered impossible. She had deliberately flown into a gravitational anomaly, using her ship's reinforced structure, designed to withstand Earth's variable conditions, to survive forces that would have crushed most vessels. She emerged behind the Krellian formation, weapons blazing. The Relentless, true to its name, charged straight at the largest Krellian ship. Captain Mitchell, a veteran of humanity's first contact wars, knew that sometimes the best strategy was no strategy at all. His ship took heavy fire, shields flaring and failing, armor plating melting under plasma assault. But he didn't stop. At the last second, the Relentless launched all its escape pods, each one modified into a kinetic missile. The Krellian flagship, unable to target so many small, fast-moving objects, took multiple impacts. Its bridge exploded in a shower of debris. Sarah watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. The Krellians were skilled raiders, but they fought like predators, expecting their prey to run or cower. Humans fought like something else entirely, like creatures that had spent millions of years being both predator and prey, learning to adapt, survive, and overcome. "Commander, the Harmony's dream is breaking apart." Rodriguez's voice cut through her focus. Multiple hull breaches, life support failing. They have maybe 20 minutes before total structural collapse. Sarah's mind raced. They were hurting the Krellians, but not fast enough. 8,000 lives hung in the balance, and conventional tactics wouldn't save them. She needed something insane, something no rational species would attempt. "Rodriguez, can you patch me through to the Harmony's Dreams emergency systems?" "Yes, ma'am, but their communications are barely functional." "Do it. And get me Chief Volkov in engineering." As the connections established, Sarah outlined her plan. It was beyond risky, it was practically suicidal, but it might be their only chance. "Chief, can we extend our shields to encompass another ship?" There was a pause. Then Dimitri's heavily accented voice came back. "Duh, Commander, but only for a few minutes. The power drain would burn out our generators. A few minutes is all we need." "Do it." She turned to her navigation officer. "Plot a course directly to the Harmony's Dream. Maximum burn. Commander, that'll take us through the main Krellian formation. We'll be sitting ducks. No, Sarah corrected. We'll be bait. The Perseverance surged forward, abandoning evasive maneuvers for pure speed. Immediately, 6 Krellian ships converged on them, sensing an easy kill. Plasma fire and particle beams lit up space around them. The ship shuddered under multiple impacts, armor plating vaporizing, secondary systems failing. But Sarah had counted on the Krellians' predatory instincts. By focusing on the Perseverance, they had turned their backs on the other human ships. The Defiance, Hope, and Relentless struck from 3 directions simultaneously, catching the Krellians in a devastating crossfire. The Perseverance reached the Harmony's Dream, just as its shields finally collapsed entirely. The massive colony ship was coming apart, huge sections of hull peeling away into the void. Through the torn metal, Sarah could see crowds of terrified beings pressed against emergency bulkheads, children clutching their parents, all of them watching death approach. "Extend shields now," Sarah commanded. The Perseverance's shield generator screamed in protest as they stretched to encompass both ships. The power drain was immediate and catastrophic. Lights flickered, life support stuttered, and the weapons systems went completely offline. They were defenseless, but the Harmony's Dream's hull breaches were now contained within the shield bubble. Its passengers had precious minutes of life support, minutes to evacuate to escape pods or transfer to the human ships. All human vessels. This is Commander Chen. We're shield-locked with the colony ship and dead in space. We need cover now. The 3 other human ships responded without hesitation. They formed a defensive triangle around the paired vessels, taking hit after hit from the remaining Krellian raiders. The Hope lost its primary engines. The Relentless was down to emergency power. The Defiance had half its crew injured or dead, but they held the line. On the Harmony's Dream, something remarkable was happening. The various alien species, many of whom had never worked together before, organized themselves with desperate efficiency. The strong helped the weak. The adults protected the children. Engineers from different worlds worked side by side to stabilize critical systems, and they all watched in awe as the human ships, battered and burning, refused to retreat. These Deathworlders, these creatures from a hell world that the galaxy feared, were dying to protect strangers. The Krellian commander's ship approached the Perseverance, weapons charging for a killing blow. Sarah watched it come. Knowing her ship had no defenses left, she opened a channel to her crew. "All hands, this is the commander. It's been an honor serving with you. Prepare for impact." But the impact never came. From the depths of the nebula, dozens of new contacts appeared on what remained of their sensors. Sarah's heart sank, thinking it was Krellian reinforcements. Then Rodriguez, blood running from a gash on his forehead, managed a weak smile. "Commander, those aren't Krellians. It's the Galactic Union Fleet. They're 40 hours early." Admiral Catherine's voice crackled over the communications. "Human vessels, this is the Union Fleet. We're engaging the Krellians. Hold your position." The fresh Union ships, 37 vessels from dozen different species, slammed into the remaining Krellian forces. The raiders, already bloodied from their fight with the humans, broke and ran, disappearing into the nebula's depths. Hours later, with the immediate danger past, rescue operations were in full swing. The Harmony's Dream's passengers were being evacuated to the Union ships. The human vessels, barely holding together, were being stabilized by emergency repair teams. Sarah stood on her ruined bridge, watching through a hull breach temporarily sealed with an emergency force field. Admiral Catherine's image appeared on the one functioning screen. "Commander Chen," the Zilani began, his forearms spread in what Sarah recognized as a gesture of deep respect. "You disobeyed direct orders. You risked your ships and crews on an impossible mission." "Yes, sir, I did. If you want to court-martial me, court-martial you," Catherine interrupted. "Commander, you and your people just changed everything. Do you understand what you've done?" Sarah frowned, confused. "We answered a distress call, Admiral. We did what anyone should do." "No, Commander. You did what humans do. The entire Union is watching. 4 small patrol ships against 20 raiders to save 8,000 strangers. No profit, no strategic value, just because it was right." The Admiral's 6 eyes glistened with what might have been emotion. "We came early because your actions inspired us. The crew of my flagship demanded we push our engines past safe limits. They said if humans could face those odds for strangers, we could risk burned-out engines. From across the bridge, Rodriguez called out weakly, "Commander, we're receiving transmissions from everywhere. Union worlds, independent systems, even some former Krellian territories. They're all talking about the Deathworlder Fleet that answered the SOS." Sarah sank into her damaged command chair, exhausted. Around her, her crew began to understand what had happened. They hadn't just saved 8,000 lives. They had shown the galaxy what humanity really was. Not Deathworlders to be feared, but protectors who would face any odds to help those in need. A small voice interrupted her thoughts. On the screen, a young Thelani child from the Harmony's dream appeared, her feathered form trembling but her voice clear. "Thank you, humans. Thank you for coming when we called." Sarah smiled, tears running down her face. "You're welcome, little one. That's what family does." As the Union fleet began towing the human ships to safety, the story was already spreading across the galaxy. The Deathworlder Fleet had answered an impossible SOS. They had faced 20-4 odds without hesitation. They had nearly died protecting strangers who had been taught to fear them. And in doing so, they had taught the galaxy a new word, a human word that would echo through the stars for generations to come. Heroes.